Hi all, in this lab, let us deploy the Spark operator and history server as well. Let's get started. Okay, so this was the previous state. Now we have deployed all of these components in the cluster. Now this time we'll be deploying the Spark operator, which runs as a pod within the cluster. Then also Spark history server, and then we'll also deploy Unicorn for gang scheduling and many other features. So we'll deploy that also for some use cases. So let's proceed further. So this is our README guide, and so before we proceed further, let's first analyze our Terraform.tf wars file. So we have to enable Spark tools team A true and Unicorn true. Enable Unicorn true, and then in the main .tf we are passing these values to the module, and then like we did earlier, what we will do is we will simply push the changes to the GitHub. We should trigger the pipeline. So I will take a pause and wait for the pipeline to complete, and then we'll come back to the console. So the pipeline completed successfully. Now let us see that the Spark operator is successfully deployed in the cluster. So you see the Spark operator pod in its own namespace. And there is a S3 bucket that we have created because the Spark event logs will be stored there, and from where the Spark history server will fetch the data when users ask for the job status. If they wanted any debugging information, all of that will be fetched from the S3 bucket. And there is a separate namespace for the Spark history server. So you will see that the corresponding deployment service and the pods are there in the history server. Then for Unicorn also, we'll have a separate namespace, and the corresponding pods are there deployed, which is a custom scheduler. We will see that later. And the Spark history server is deployed as an ingress object. So we need to know the ALB name, this ALB name. Let's copy this and go to the browser. So I've entered the URL here. As you see, there are some jobs already run, and you can get all the details about a specific application in terms of how much of time it has taken for various stages, how many executors, and all of that is available in the Spark history server. So with this, we conclude the lab. So far, just to summarize what we have done, right? Let's go back to our end-to-end data pipeline. We deployed a code pipeline in AWS Infra to build the entire data pipeline platform based on EkS, right? We created the cluster, then we created some add-ons like EFS, EBS, Carpenter. Then we created the observability stack, including Prometheus, Grafana, and Kubecast. Then we deploy, of course, FluentBit is also there for the logging. Then we had Airflow, which is open source version deployed for the workflow management. Then we also deployed Spark operator and the Spark history server along with Unicorn. So this is how a typical open source data platform looks like in Kubernetes or on Amazon EKS. Okay, so in the next lab we will be running some Spark applications on this data pipeline and see how all the things work together, and see how the applications are deployed and how do we debug and all of that stuff we will look into. Okay.